welcome to the Riverfront Reds Show, where Chris Garber and I will spend the next hour talking of Ohio State high school playoffs, state championships Friday coming up tomorrow. Anderson's playing in the game tonight in Division II. Also, we could talk about the Ohio State-Michigan game. There's so much to talk about, but I am Seth Shaner with Chris Garber. This is a Reds show. I keep having to be reminded of that, Chris.
That's right. We have to talk about the Reds.
There is actual news. Like we begin planning this show like early in the week. We nail down whether we can both do it together. What are we going to talk about, things like that. And it's like, there's no news. Let's figure something out. And maybe we would have talked about Bishop Watterson's bid to repeat as Division III state champions tomorrow. But in reality, we do have some news. And Emilio Pagan signed a 2-year, $20 million deal. The original, projection for his worth was about 12.5 million for 1 year. So I guess my thought just at first blush is that he really valued that second year. 20 million is more than 12 or 12.5. And to get that guaranteed money sounded pretty good to him.
Yeah, I think Emilio Pagan and his agent may be thinking the same thing I am, which is Emilio Pagan may have just had his career year.
Yes.
And he should probably cash in while he can.
Well, that's the thing too, because there's as Reds fans, we look at it like this, like, oh man, these relievers, they could have 1 or 2 good years and then all of a sudden they're off the cliff. That's kind of the trend if your name isn't Trevor Hoffman or Mariano Rivera, or as we found out lately, Aroldis Chapman, who was as good as ever this past season. But I guess as a Reds fan and wanting this bullpen to be shored up, I'm kind of okay with it. You're almost like banking for, 2027 to be when he falls off the cliff, and they might not even have baseball that year anyway. So, who cares on that end? So you're just kind of crossing your fingers, aren't you, for this year?
I think so. I mean, to me, I think you're right. Like relief pitchers are high variance. I don't think the Red system lacks for arms. I mean, I don't want to see one of these star or top prospect starting pitchers move to the bullpen like Aroldis Chapman was. But it's certainly possible for them to cobble together a bullpen to go get a reliever as good as Emilio Pagan without paying $20 million for it.
Yeah, well, we've got a question of viewer mail a little later that might go down that road a little bit. I guess from my standpoint, the way I'm seeing it is it's almost like the Nick Martinez deal last year, although Pagan's not quite, I don't think the value that certainly Martinez offered, but it gives you a certain amount of as much as you can with relievers, you kind of know what you're getting from Pagan, right? So then you kind of go from there, and then you start to fill in those blanks. And obviously, like Santillan was one of those blanks they filled in last year. He was better than ever last year, and they've still got him back this year.
Yeah, so I can't criticize it. I think he's a good pitcher to have on the team. It just to me looks like it says two things, and they're related. One, this is easy. Like re-signing Pagan is much easier than trying to find the next Pagan for less money. And two, and I think more importantly, this makes Terry Francona comfortable.
I agree with that.
This is a move he wanted to make. I'm sure of it. And he does not want to go into another season trying on, picking a card out of the deck on opening day, who his closer is going to be.
When the explanation, because he was a Red in 2024, and he didn't provide really anything you were looking for. And, he was a guy that gave up a lot of fly balls. So it was almost like, why did they bring him in the first place? It was kind of the question. But then later when you find out he was coming off like an abdominal surgery and he just didn't have the zip, and certainly that maybe should have been factored in when you signed him. But I got to tell you, Chris, there were very few outings in 2025 when he came out onto the mound, and I was like worried or stressed. I mean, he wasn't Mariano Rivera. Don't get me wrong, but I guess he so outperformed my initial expectations of him that I really wasn't that worried about it when he came into the game, and I think he acquitted himself really well.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Like I said, I'm not going to complain about it. The only thing that just was a kick in the stomach was when you read this, well, that's half the money they had to spend this offseason. Now, am I reading that wrong? Do they have 20 million left now, or was there 20 to start with? And they did.
Oh, I don't know, Chris. I mean, certainly they're going to get. I mean, they could end up trading Lux or they could end up doing something later that's more creative. I don't know. Did you see though his comments right away? And I don't know if he was on the hot stove last night. I don't know if he got there in time to do that, but he had some comments that I think Mark Sheldon had, and he's talking about how it's almost as if they told him that they were going to do more. Like it was almost as if he had an inkling that there's more in the works here.
Yeah, I've got the quote. He said, "There's stuff out there right now that if those things happen, we become a real dangerous team fast."
Fast, yeah.
Now, I mean, I have one idea what that means. He said things, but I don't know if he meant plural. And I don't know if he's just talking because he reads Twitter and so forth, or if he has some inside scoop on moves the Reds might be making.
Well, let's broach that subject. That's the elephant in the room, the Middletown elephant, as he were. Kyle Schwarber is being mentioned more. Skylar Webker in our chat on the Slack channel as being part of our Patreon group. Skylar was saying, "Hey man, it's usually the local guys that are trying to kick around, see what might happen." He's like, "It's all these national guys," and I'm like, "Well, part of that is that Kyle Schwarber talks to Ken Rosenthal, and
yeah,
yeah,
I saw that article from the Reds beat writer for The Athletic, Ken Rosenthal.
Yeah, because he had to have his name on it in addition to the other guy.
No, he's the only byline.
Oh, I thought I saw both names on that one today.
No, that's on the Pagan story, but the Schwarber story, nobody locally is covering that.
Okay.
Reds,
well, yeah, the Pagan story again with no quotes.
Yeah, well, he filed. That's the one for the month.
Is the Athletic a place where they just kind of put journal entries now? Is that what it is? It's just wild to me. You're right, though. Rosenthal's the only one writing about this from their standpoint. Now, there's been some other people, Jason Stark and Buster Olney at ESPN, have talked about it quite a bit. But there's a lot of smoke there, Chris, for him to come. And I just wonder, is it him and his people trying to just kick the Reds and see if they're awake and if they're willing to offer him something? Or is there a kind of a back and forth really going on?
I mean, I honestly believe that he really wants to play for the Reds.
I do too, yeah. But
I think that's a legitimate hometown kid. I don't know Kyle Schwarber, but I know a little bit about him. And I think he is a real down-to-earth dude who would love to come home.
What do you think? So you saw my tweet yesterday. I said, and I said this earlier, if it's a 4 or 5 year deal, I say defer a bunch of it and make him the ambassador. Like, make him who we hope or wish Joey Votto could be now. Make him who Marty Brennaman is right now. 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now.
Yep.
When Schwarber can be the Reds ambassador, he could be on the broadcast for all we care. But he's going to get that deferred money, but it's also going to entail, being a spokesman and that kind of thing for the team. I just don't think there's anything wrong with that. I want to talk to you in a minute about maybe the on-field stuff as he gets a little older, but doesn't that make a lot of sense if he's willing to do it?
Yeah, 1,000%. I was thinking the same thing. Kyle Schwarber's not young, right? I mean, he's going to be 34 this year?
35, I think.
33. No, he's 33.
Okay.
Born in 93, so he'll be 33 before opening day.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, he has what they call old player skills, right? Yeah. Power and on base ability.
Sure.
And those don't tend to age incredibly well. So I don't think there's much chance that as an on-field contributor, he's going to be worth the money when he's 38.
Right.
But, and this is probably the one time I think I would say this, I think I would do it. I think I would pay him almost what he wants, and like you said, defer the daylights out of it, because he's absolutely, the player they need on field.
Mm-hmm.
He is the literal perfect fit for what they need offensively. And if you get 3 good years out of him in this window they've got a real chance at winning something. And then he's a legend. If he's not already, then he's a real legend. And then all that deferred money is worth it.
Yeah,
Because I think you're right. They can get value out of him for 20 years.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no. And he's such a good leader. I've said this many times on this show. I recounted the stories I heard from, I think it was Buster Olney over the summer, in a clubhouse with multiple time MVP Bryce Harper, with Trey Turner, with some of the pitchers they have, with the guys they have in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber was the unquestioned leader. And it's like, what don't you have in Cincinnati right now? You don't have a power bat. You don't have that personality, and you don't have a clubhouse leader. And you're getting all that right there in one.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think? And you're right, it is 33. Pagan's 35. What do you, obviously, like Griffey was 29 to 30 when he came, and he just seemed to break down almost immediately within a year or so. What are the chances that you get Schwarber and he falls off the cliff way sooner than you think?
It's possible. I mean, what he's done the last couple years is, much better than he had done. It's weird. He turned into a different player when he got to Philly.
I think so. Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that they trusted to let him play every day against lefties and righties.
Yeah.
Or he was just like found a home. But, I mean, in 23, he was pretty bad. But I think that's because he was still playing the field, actually. But it's possible, I guess. And I know this isn't Nick Kral's way to take a big swing. But I think all the other circumstances around it, I really believe you can make the case that this is the one time you risk overpaying for on-field performance because the fit is that perfect,
mm-hmm.
and the surrounding part of it is so valuable.
You say he doesn't take the big swing, but a lot of the medium-sized swings he's taken have done the things I was asking about, like Moustakas and Candelario. Castellanos worked out tremendously, but the contract was written in such a way that he was able to leave after 2 years. But I just think everything's there. I think the guy wants to be here, contrary to what, well, we've heard guys like Sonny Gray say it too. Guys want to be in Cincinnati, but the thing that happens is they get given away. They get sent away, or they don't even get given a contract offer. Like Castellanos, was like, oh, I'd love to stay, but they didn't offer anything.
Yeah, I think that's one thing to the credit of the organization. I mean, to some degree, the people that come there to play seem pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
That whatever it is, I think it's mostly the city and the fans and the rather tame media environment, but they have it's a good place to work. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What
I feel like it feels weird for me saying this because like my brain would normally say no way to sign a 33-year-old, kind of call him one-dimensional, but just an Adam Dunn bat. But it's such a perfect fit for everything, roster-wise, clubhouse-wise, city-wise. I just can't. I feel really strongly. I think this is one of the best moves they can make in a long time.
Skyler and Ben did one of their first late night Reds episodes after the season ended, and they were basically just throwing guys up on the screen. Your Joey Vottos, your Jay Bruces, your Eric Davises, like just all the fan favorites and all the impact guys, especially they seem to all be impact bats. And it spurred me to question, drop any one of those guys into last year's lineup. I mean, I'm telling you, even like I love Jay Bruce, but he wasn't the most complete player either. But if you drop Jay Bruce into last year's lineup, it just changes everything. And it's absolutely true if you drop Kyle Schwarber into the lineup last
Yeah.
year. I mean, it just changes the whole shape of that team.
Yeah. I mean, you're basically looking at like, I mean, you're looking at MVP candidate. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is Michael Tucker level performance. At least is the best you're going to get from a DH.
What'd
So
you
it's
say,
like,
Michael Tucker?
huh?
You said
Not Mike.
Michael Tucker.
It is not Michael Tucker or Chris Stein's level performance either.
John Nunnally.
John Nunnally. Sorry, Kyle Tucker. But like, I mean, 56 home runs, man.
Oh, and you know how they changed the parks and they say, would that have been a home run? Like
Oh,
Philly's a bandbox. It feels smaller than it probably even is. I've been there. I was there for 2 games, several years ago. But I guarantee you, Great American, the ball goes out as faster. So it wouldn't have been much different if he's playing his home games in the Queen City. He wants to do it. Yeah. Where do you think, like, I know Jim Bowden wanted to make every move he could have made. Like it wasn't good that they were so cheap with him, like especially in like 2002 range. But I know he would have made so many more moves if they would have just given him the money. Do you think Nick Krall is just because he's come up through this system, is so used to it that he's not ever really as tempted to be more of a fan and want to just go make a move? Or is
I mean,
he?
he's kind of a robot. Yeah.
I mean, that's how it feels.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, but you saw how seduced he was by Tito.
Yeah.
I mean, they went out, I thought he was going to move into Tito's house when he talked about the interview process.
I just pictured Tito, like, because he's single and he lives alone and all that out there in Arizona. And he's playing golf and all that. And I picture his place not really being that tidy. And there's Brad and Crawl just sitting there on his couch. Like,
There's like spit cups all
is that
over
a
the
Cheeto?
place.
Is that a Cheeto I'm sitting on?
He's like, move that dip cup off the couch.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Percent chance you think they actually sign him?
20.
Okay. I think one of the national guys put it at 15, which if you would have told me that 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have thought that's pretty high. But
yeah, I mean, I do think I think that I think if they get close on the money.
yeah.
I don't know who his agent is. You know who his agent is?
Is it Boris?
I don't know. Let's see do they have that on Baseball Reference? Excel. All right. So Excel is Casey Close, I think.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. Little known fact there, Normie. Casey Close is a graduate of Worthington High School.
Oh, how about that?
Thomas Worthington now. Yeah, Casey Close was actually Kent Merker's like first idol because he was a big American Legion baseball player about 3 to 5 years ahead of Kent Merker.
I love it.
And Merker works for Close now. I had a text.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh,
of course,
cool.
they botched that whole Freddie Freeman deal. There's supposedly something that happened with I guess the Braves offered more than they shared with them or something. I forget what the whole story was. And Casey Close got kind of in some hot water over that. But
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is not Boris, because Boris will not.
Yeah.
Boris will do what his client wants, but nobody who signs with Boris wants anything less than the best offer.
That's a chicken or egg thing, right? If you sign with Boris, you're basically telling him to do
I would think. Yeah. I just don't know that I've ever heard of a Boris client taking less than top dollar. That's fine. That's what they want. That's what he's great at it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like, because usually some people say, "Hey, don't you realize the agent works for you?" But I mean, hey, if you hire
he's doing a good job
Scott Boris, you know what you're getting into, right?
Yeah.
All right, 20%. I'm going to hold you to that. That I mean, it doesn't mean anything. If he doesn't, you say, "Oh, see, I was
Is this
right."
going to be like one of those Nate Silver things that if I say it's 70% and it doesn't happen, then I was wrong?
Yeah. Okay.
Guess so.
Um,
They can do it. They
they
can do it.
absolutely can do it, and
And I
that's what
think,
bothers me. It's what I think. I think part of it, though, there's at least some percentage chance that you're so gung ho about it, and I'm not blaming. I'm with you. I want it too, but I think there's some part of you that wants them to do it in part because they just don't do this stuff,
yeah,
and it's like, and it was so obvious what they needed last year.
yeah.
It was
To me, that's
painful.
the thing. Like I can talk to anybody in that organization and tell them why it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I can talk to Francona, I can talk to Crawl, I can talk to the analytics guys, and I can talk to the ticket sales guys.
Oh my god.
And I can make the case. And again, I think, I'm not sure how old Bob Castellini is, but I think if they defer that money out 25 years, he ain't the one paying it.
I mean, yeah, Phil
You know what I mean?
Phil would have already sold it 10 minutes after Bob goes if he can. So it's I mean, shoot, Lindner deferred all that Griffey money and they were still paying that a couple years ago
Yeah.
or a year ago.
I mean, I just think like you go talk to the Dodgers about Shohei.
Yeah, I had a guy talk to me the other day. I don't really know this guy very well, and he's just like, "Oh, there has to be a salary cap," and well, I don't know that there will be, but I think that's going to be why they have a strike or a lockout. But the idea is so absurd that the richest team in baseball can not only give a guy like a $700 million contract, but also only pay him like $1 million a year for the first X amount. Like, you're the richest team in baseball who says we can afford this,
Yeah,
and yet you don't have to pay it yet.
we're gonna put it on Klarna.
Yeah, every SoFi, right? They're out there,
Yeah,
fixing everybody's situation. Yeah, that's what's really bizarre. The two bizarre things about the Dodgers ownership group that took over like 15 years ago now, it feels like yesterday. The two things about them though is number one, they ate more contracts than you've ever heard of. Like
oh yeah,
the money they paid guys to go away was more than like the Marlins payroll most years. So they did that and didn't care. And now they're deferring this money like crazy so they can basically pay the next 3 Japanese pitchers that come over. It's pretty amazing. So, there are issues well beyond just what their payroll says it is.
yeah.
Uh, as far as that
To go back to that for a second, the thing about the cap, a lot of fans say, "Oh, we should have a cap," and I always say, "Well, I'd love to have a floor."
Yep.
But then I think about it, like the Reds would be above any floor, right? Like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
as like feeble as that feels like their spend is, it's still not the bottom of the league.
I think 22 and 23 they kind of dipped way under. But yeah, if they're at 112, I mean they're outspending Cleveland, they're outspending Pittsburgh. Oh yeah, many of these teams. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the answer. It's interesting. Hey, while we were just talking about the Dodgers, the Reds got swept in 2 games by the Dodgers this year. I wanted to kind of talk about because of course Ohio State just beat Michigan, and that's a huge rivalry. I want to talk to you a little bit about rivalries and for the Reds. And certainly, if Bill Lack was here, the Podfather, if he was here, he'd be telling us about that Dodgers Reds rivalry in the '70s. And I know I've asked you before about it. You're a little older than me. What are your memories of that? Do you remember in the early to mid '80s the Dodgers still being kind of the hated team?
I think it had started to fade a little bit by that point.
Mm-hmm.
My first memories of baseball are kind of 78, 79.
Right.
And I was kind of an annoying little kid. And one of my tricks was that I could name the starting lineups for the entire National League West, which is my little parlor trick at family gatherings. So, yeah, I mean, at that point, Dodgers Reds was a huge, huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I got a little bit older, past 81, the Reds were awful,
Yeah.
and And the Dodgers, I don't believe they won the division either one. Braves were kind of the best
Past
team in the division at that point. So I don't remember like the heat of it, but I know that in the 70s, that divisional rivalry, I mean, those teams were both really good.
Oh yeah.
They were both really stable. They had the same, starting 8 more or less for 5-6 years in a row. And they played each other a ton of times with the unbalanced schedule. So while the Reds played the Pirates and the Phillies a lot in the playoffs, they didn't play them that much in the regular season.
No, you're right.
It was Dodgers, Dodgers, Dodgers. That was like the games you cared about for sure.
Yeah, and you think about it, there were years where the Reds just torched the Dodgers, like in the standings, and the Dodgers might have been the second best team in baseball, or at least in the National League. But you're right, it was an East-West thing, and the Reds and the Reds and the Braves got put in the West, and the Cardinals and the Cubs somehow were in the East. And
yeah,
that's how we agreed to do things, and that's why kids who grew up when we did, we had to listen to 10 p.m. baseball games and under our pillow. I'll tell you, the funny thing for me is twofold. Number one, became a huge fan around 87. So for me in 88, the fact that Oral Hershiser stole Danny Jackson's Cy Young really, really bothered little Seth. And then certainly.
Do you remember taking a slight bit of revenge? Because, Hershiser had that scoreless streak.
Right.
All through the end of the 88 season through the end. And my recollection is he started opening day against the Reds in 89.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a run off of him. And it was like, well, at least we broke up his stupid streak.
There you go. Yeah, I had that. And certainly I didn't care for Lasorda much. I remember that being a fact. I also remember, what was it? What weight loss thing did he do ads for?
Slim Fast.
Yeah, Slim Fast, the shakes. Yeah. I couldn't understand why his baseball card always said 190 pounds. Like, for some reason it listed the manager's height and weight. And he was this little short guy, but I was like, Dad, why is he 190 pounds? I thought he lost all the weight, but I'm sure they just never
That's
changed.
awesome. All right, I just checked it. And for some reason in 1989, on opening day, the Reds did play the Dodgers.
It wasn't Hershiser.
It was not Hershiser. They started Tim Belcher on opening day.
That's wild. Ohio native Tim Belcher.
The Reds beat Tim Belcher, and then it was in Game 2 that they broke Hershiser's streak in the first inning.
Okay.
With a RBI single by Todd Benzinger.
Yeah, the massive bat that Todd Benzinger brought to the plate. Yeah. The funny thing is, where I grew up in Southeast Ohio, my grandpa could pull in the 70s. He could pull in Pirates games on his transistor and all that. And I think it was Bob Prince was the announcer back then. Prince. I think he would talk a lot about like not liking those guys because he thought they were, because they thought like Manny Sanguillen was better than Johnny Bench and all this crazy stuff, like all that stuff. So like I think my grandpa actually had it out for the Pirates more, especially. That part of the state's funny because from where I lived, it was not, I'm not going to say it was equally the same distance, but it was nearly the same traveling time to go to Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, or Cleveland. Like, so especially in football, we had fans of all three right there. And so you'd also get some Pirates fans. So I feel like my grandpa always felt like he just couldn't stand the Pirates, and he always kept tabs on them. And even to this day, with us now being in the same division, he's like, well, we just got to finish ahead of the Pirates. Like, we could be the next to last place team, but we can't be behind the Pirates.
I love it.
What about, and I think I'm going to lead us down this road and understand where we're going to go with it. Like later on, as we've kind of split into 3 divisions and as, we kind of become comfortable with this NL Central. You go to the Cardinals first, right? I mean, that's kind of like the
I think so. I mean, that's where it's nasty, and they're way more annoying. Cub fans can be a bit much, but the Cardinals organization and fans,
Tony La Russa being a huge part of that.
Yes, 100%. Best fans of baseball and La Russa are not a combination that I like.
And the funny thing is, and I come at this as an Ohio State fan, obviously, I wear that on my sleeve. some of the things we say about Michigan, it's like, man, you know what? They have a problem in the tunnel with everybody they play. They have a problem in the tunnel with Michigan State. They're always picking fights. They're always like on purpose running into people and like trying to get a rise out of them. That's how I always felt about the Cardinals, man. Everybody in the division hated the
Yeah.
Cardinals. And part of it probably was that they won, right? I mean, I get that, but at the same time, they're just so arrogant. And Tony La Russa, and I was never the biggest Dusty Baker fan, but man, when Baker and La Russa squared off multiple times in those brawls and those little things in the media and stuff like that, like it was like, all right, we got a guy fighting for us. That was kind of big time, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were not alike. I mean, you have to respect Albert Pujols, but like Molina,
Careful.
was, and you had like a lot of, in the Walt Jocketty era, all these dudes ended up on the Reds.
I know.
There was
Jim Edmonds, man.
There was a time on for Red Leg Nation, I wrote an article about all the guys, former Cardinals, that Walt Jocketty acquired who played their last game as a Red.
Yeah.
He brought them in, and they were so done
Yep.
that when they were done with the Reds, they couldn't get another job. And there was like 9 of them.
Well, it was wild too in 2010 when they had the brawl. You had Scott Rowland playing for the Reds and all that. And what am I supposed to tell my son, Chris Carpenter? But you had Jason LaRue and Felipe Lopez. They were in Cardinals uniforms.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Reds ended up with Renteria. They ended up with all those guys.
Schumacher, Ludwig,
yep,
Cairo. There's a few more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And and Bob Castellini was a minority owner of the Cardinals when he came.
Wasn't the Williams family?
I thought they were always more entrenched in Cincinnati. I could be wrong.
Maybe I'm thinking of the DeWitts then.
Oh yeah. Well, the DeWitts went from Cincinnati to St. Louis, right? Because DeWitt was the key owner. Yeah, so that's been the biggest one. But I will tell you, the Reds run there from 2010 through 13. The Reds had the number of the Cubs, right? They dominated the Cubs, and that kind of got a little bit changed. Remember the time when Chapman threw up and in on Rizzo?
Mm-hmm.
And then Rizzo gets to first, and Joey's just telling him, just stop it. And then it's going to be Rizzo against the whole dugout because he's over on the first base side. And it's like you could almost put a divider right there. And for the next 4 years or longer, the Cubs just destroyed the Reds. Like it was like, and certainly had a lot to do with they were trying and the Reds hadn't been trying then after 2015 because the All-Star game was, if you could put the All-Star game as the benchmark for when the Reds stopped trying to win.
Oh yeah, it's a BCAD kind of situation, really, in the Reds' history.
Right. So I guess and then of course they had the stuff with the Pirates with Clint Hurdle, and that's mostly Clint Hurdle.
Which is funny because Clint Hurdle is like the greatest dude.
Yeah, and he's a Cincinnati guy too, right?
I don't know if he's from there.
He lives there now, though. I think.
Oh, is that right?
I'm pretty sure.
Did you on that point? Did you that Joe Torre, his wife, was from Cincinnati?
Oh yeah.
Spent the holidays there all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Like, and that's always that stuff. Like, well, David Justice is from right across the. It's like you try to mark. And then of course finally Griffey did come home, and it was like, oh my goodness, this really can happen. But yeah, you always like, oh, maybe Joe Torre could be our manager, in between the Yankees and Dodgers. It's like, nah, he's not coming to Cincinnati.
I think our friend Bill might have run into Joe Torre at like Circuit City or something. on Christmas Eve or something.
I was thinking about this the other day because my brothers-in-law have University of Dayton basketball tickets, and I used to go and join them every year for a game around Christmas time. And we were down there one day. It was like a Saturday afternoon game in mid-December. And I'm standing there and I look to my right, like it's, just right beside me. And I'm like, that's Paul O'Neill. He's right there. I was like, and I said hi to him and all that, but that was
At
it.
the Flyers game?
Yeah, he was at a Dayton Flyers game. That's
Uh,
Paul O'Neill.
That's great. On a similar note, I once saw Flyers coach Oliver Purnell at the Dayton Mall Lazarus on Christmas Eve buying his wife a Christmas present at the last minute.
Okay, I've got you there, and maybe one better. I once saw Ohio State coach Randy Ayers in the bathroom of a Lowe's movie theater because this kid who was like 6 had been in the stall for so long that Randy Ayers had to come check on him. And I'm washing my hands, and I'm like 13, little 5'4" Seth, or shorter maybe. And I'm like, Randy Ayers is 6'4". I'm like, oh my goodness, that's Randy Ayers. That kid ended up playing at Notre Dame. So I was like,
Oh,
how
I was going to ask that. Yeah, that's
saw
cool.
that guy in the bathroom in Westerville. No, it's just funny to run into people. That's cool. Yeah, so rivalries aren't as big a thing in baseball, except for obviously Red Sox and Yankees. And although we didn't mention the biggest rivalry, and that is the Ohio Cup, right? So
Yeah, well, yeah, that'll be a topic of a 7-part series in the off season.
the Big 50 is going to have its own
Yeah,
entire book about the Ohio Cup.
that's right. There is on that point to go back to the Dodgers thing. There is a book that I read while we were putting together the Big 50. It's all about the Reds and Dodgers rivalry.
Okay.
And it's written by a guy named Tom Van Riper, who I believe was a Dodger fan. I think it's out of print, but if you can get one from the library, if you're really interested in it, I wouldn't heartily recommend buying it, but if you want to know Reds Dodgers, some cool stuff in it.
That sounds good. In fact, it was funny. A friend of mine, we were talking last week about how Ohio State hadn't beaten Michigan all this time, and he was like, you know what? I'm leaning into it. He's like, I'm soaking up everything I can about the rivalry, and he got a book at some half price books or something. It's called War as They Knew It.
I've heard about that.
Woody
Yeah.
Hayes, Bo Schembechler, in America in a Time of Unrest, and it's by Michael Rosenberg, who was a writer up in Detroit. He said he just absolutely loved it. And, some of the political stuff is certainly different topics than what we're dealing with today, but a lot of the differences that everybody thought there were, there are now. There was a lot of differences back then as well, especially from the younger and the older generations, as Woody Hayes kind of was obviously the military guy and very strict and all that, but just interesting stuff. All right, let's get to some viewer mail. How's that sound?
Love it.
All right, actual letters written in by actual viewers, which is kind of true now, I guess, since we're on TV, on YouTube. All right, Kyle Kapler says, do you think he's got multiple questions. Chad never would have stood for that, but
no, he would not. One per person.
Do you think the bullpen is done as far as being built?
It's done as far as guys who are going to make any money who you've heard of. They'll sign more bodies.
Where I am, they ended up paying Scott Barlow more than I would have expected, especially he was a non-roster invitee, but he made 2.7 or more. But I think they're going to keep bringing in names, invite to spring training type guys, right? And some of those will stick, and some of them will be back in AAA that are still younger. I mean, they've got those guys. I mean, Luis May. They're going to still lean on hope he can be a factor, that kind of thing. Kyle's second question, which I'm going to allow because I'm not Chad, and also we only got 4 questions this week. He says, besides Schwarber, what hitter in free agency would you like? Have you thought about that at all, Chris?
Not really. How about you?
Ryan O'Hearn keeps percolating in my mind. I believe he's 32 years old, but I think he had like a 4.6 WAR last year. I didn't realize they've listed him at first base. Okay. I wonder if they might just still bring Andujar back on a small deal. But that's not probably what he's asking about there. But yeah, I don't know. As far as free agents go, they're not going to be the big spenders. They're not going to go after Tucker. They're not going to, The only big money guy that fits is Schwarber for obvious reasons. You looking at this? All right. James Urban. I had two thoughts on this question. I want your first blush answer because my first blush was a certain way. James Urban says, "Who is the Lane Kiffin of the MLB?" He calls it the MLB, which annoys people, I'm sure. But James, we'll read it the way you wrote it.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, in terms of like, my gut reaction is Jim Bowden.
See, okay, there you go. So the funny thing was I went straight to manager because Lane's a coach.
Yeah.
My first manager I thought about was Bobby Valentine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just the hijinks and the weird stuff he would do. But as I sat and thought about it a little longer, as we sat down to do this, I was like, you know what? It's Jim Bowden. Yeah. Like all the stuff, like the reason we know that Jim Bowden had two different trades in place in 2002 for both Bartolo Colon and Scott Rowland. The reason we know that is because he told Peter Gammons. Like this stuff that Lane Kiffin allows people like Marty Smith to know is just for his own benefit.
Yeah, yeah. They both have a similar self-regard.
And they would both wear leather pants, I guarantee you.
I think they would.
Did you see Marty Smith had to get out to the private tarmac and he couldn't get there, and he drove a conversion van that he had rented for his crew to go around the SEC holiday weekend, and he drove through a marsh or something. Airports sometimes have that. And in the interview, Lane just kind of points and he goes, "That was something else, man. you really went all out to get this interview, didn't you?" And then Marty Smith explained it the next day, and here he had basically eluded the law and a few other things to get there. But that's good. I think it's got to be Jim Bowden. There aren't that many other.
No,
I don't know. Baseball doesn't lend itself to that kind of swashbuckling.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
No, but Jim Bowden was that in spades. I mean, if people are tuned into this show didn't live through that era. I mean, if you read I think I told you before, I wrote a paper in high school about the Marge Schott book that somebody wrote about Marge Schott, and the way Jim Bowden got his job was he basically stabbed Bob Quinn in the back and made Marge like him and made Marge hate Bob Quinn. Yeah, and he was 30 whatever years old, and then he was off and running, and it's just it's all of it. It's all crazy. Just all of it. And the grandstanding he would do, like when he brought Griffey, he acted as if he was the president of Cincinnati or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Also in that book, I learned all about the way Marge got her dead husband's Buick dealership, which is another wild story.
That is that the Mike Bass book?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the guy was Borcherding was the guy. Marge's husband was a drunk and he never showed up. And Borcherding ran the place. And so when Schott died, everybody just said Borcherding's going to get it. He's been running it. And then Marge said, "No, it was my husband. It's mine." And she took it over. And so they had to give Borcherding another GM dealership. And if you drive down I-71, there's a Borcherding Buick right there, in the Mason area off the highway. And that's that guy. That's from back then.
I think I'm not going to repeat these stories, but if you're interested in Marge Schott and her husband, do some research on her husband's untimely passing at the age of 42 and the circumstances around it.
Okay. I'm wondering.
She's not to blame. She's not to blame.
Oh, okay.
No, she's not to blame. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Brandon Kamick says, "Who's the most improved player in 2026, excluding Ellie?" Brandon's hoping Ellie bounces back from that quad. I had a name as well, but who are you thinking? You got anybody?
Nothing like. I mean, Matt McClain. I hope so.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
It's like the easiest candidate, right?
So I went a different way, but also I was going more for the role he's in. He's getting used to his role, and that's Graham Ashcraft. If he's got any hope of being a big leaguer who's here to stay, he's going to have to do it from the bullpen. He's going to have to be able to do it a lot better than he did last year.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, he's just got to cut the walks down.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Joey Gaditza, our friend from up north, which, by the way, as we record this on Thursday, it's going to be like single digits wind chill here in Central Ohio tonight. I'm not enjoying that at all. He says, Brandon Williamson, does he become the left-handed hammer in the pen, fact or fiction? Do you see that? That's one of those guys that you were talking about, like in the
Jeez,
organization.
that guy's still around, isn't he?
He is. What did he do last year?
Did he play at all?
In AAA, he wasn't. Well, if he did, it wasn't in Cincinnati.
I don't know. I mean, that's a cool idea. I'm down with it.
But he's just one of those names, certainly, and it's a guy people want to count on. Let's see here. He's got a 1.9 career WAR, right? He's 5-5. He did not pitch last year. It doesn't look like. Yeah, that'd be quite the comeback then, right?
Yeah, I have my own little Canadian trivia today. Today at work, we have a person at work who is Canadian, and I was in a meeting with her, and she pronounced a certain word a certain way.
Yeah.
And I walked out of that room, and I went to the next meeting I was in, and I started talking about process. And I was like, how did that happen? I had to like stop the meeting and be like, guys, I apologize. I was just talking to Canadian, and it seeped in.
I've been giving lectures to teenagers, like young high school students, like freshmen in high school that my oldest son is, and about the dangers of kind of mimicking or falling into a habit of using certain words.
Yeah.
And it's not even a bad word, but I was trying to use it as an example of like these kids, and it's not even just in my son's school because he plays on a soccer team with kids from like 5 different schools. And I heard them say it like, have you heard your kids do this where it's been going on since last spring, where somebody will say something it's kind of unbelievable, but and they'll say, instead of saying like oh really, they'll just go actually, and they'll say it like as a question.
Yes.
And I was like, I use that with these kids to kind of say, hey, that's how you develop habits. You don't even realize you're saying it that way. You don't even realize it. And I said,
Yes.
I remember taking some pictures at a soccer scrimmage last fall, and a bunch of kids were not 10 yards from me, and they knew I was there because we'd said hi to each other and stuff like that. And the coarse language that I heard come out of their mouths while I'm standing there, I'm like, man, these kids, it's such a habit to use these words, right? So, but I found that I do the same thing. My uncle, my mom's sister, she married a guy from Ireland. And when he says the number 3, he doesn't pronounce the H. It sounds like tree. And there's a few other like Irish lilt kind of like phrases he uses. And if I'm around him more than a day or so, I start slipping into that. Like I'm not even from there, and I do it.
Yeah.
One of my best friends from high school, his wife's from Newfoundland, Canada. And she sounds like she's from Ohio now. She's been here since like 2004. But if she gets on the phone with her mom, it's like crazy. Like
organization.
Yes, slips right into it. All right, what a process this podcast has been, and yeah,
let's get Uda here.
All right. Well, hey, so Kyle Schwarber, Chris Garber says definitely going to be a Red.
100% chance.
Chris Henry Jr. is going to stick with Ohio State. You heard it here first. And Bishop Watterson's going to win second state championship into as many years tomorrow. So
go Eagles, go Pioneers.
Yeah, the Olentangy School District.
This is my last day. I can wear this shirt as a current
that's right.
Reigning champion.
I find it fascinating, though, that 2 different Olentangy schools played what, St. Edward's in the semifinal, and now we'll play a Cincinnati Catholic school, like a
Yes,
powerhouse, a
I
different
think
one. Like,
I think that's how it's going to work. I figured out. Liberty lost 4 games this year,
okay,
and I believe 3 of them were to teams in the state finals. 2 to Orange and 1 to Glenville.
well, didn't they
Actually, it
lose
looks like
to
Glenville
Gahanna?
won.
So they lost to Gahanna, which lost in the first round of Groveport.
Yes, Glenville won today.
Did they really?
Yep.
Okay.
Congratulations, Ted Ginn Sr.
No doubt about that. And that school is shrunk too. That's like, tiny school now. All right. Well, yeah, Olentangy Orange, St. X quarterback, Greg Fry's kid. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I did not know that.
And he was a Bexley quarterback until the end of last year. He moved his kid down to Cincinnati after
Oh.
Herbstreit's kid left.
Did they I always wondered about that. So we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. This is a Reds show. All right. Hey, Late Night Reds coming up Sunday night, and certainly all your information that you need on social media, as well as joining the Patreon and getting in on the Slack. Great discussions happening there. Happy off season. Go Reds. Sign Schwarber. Get it done.